Table felt a sudden sharp sensation in his head, and he worried for a moment that he would lose his vision that had always been so keen. Had his eye been punctured? Then he worried not at all. Table became aware of another sensation in his shoulder. It hurt, but that was okay. Then Table felt very awake, and that too was okay. A voice was speaking in the way these things spoke in this strange place, just as they had spoken when he had taken their tests. He and his friend. What friend? They had done well, he thought, though just now he couldn't really remember what the tests had been at all. Something about numbers. But then, why was his arm burned? Table realized the voice had stopped speaking. What had it said? He didn't know. But he gestured his assent and followed it anyway. As Table walked along the cool chamber with walls of rock, he looked up at the ceiling, glittering with minerals, and tripped, falling to his knees. He felt the rough-hewn earth cut tears in the skin of his legs. He'd always had strong legs, sturdy legs. He had earned his name, which his forebears told him meant that which supports, lifts up, holds. He owed this name in no small part to his body's powerful frame, a frame he had learned to make less intimidating with a relaxed posture and a subtle hunch. This hunch had made him appear only a head taller than the rest of the village. More than his frame, the elders named him Table because he had become their hope root. Not that the title would ever be official. The last hope root, along with their pupil, had died before teaching and appointing another. That happened a lot these days. Why was that? Table couldn't recall. And that was okay. Table had never been one for rousing speeches, but Table did his best. He used his few words to lift others' spirits, to tell them they could do great things and endure the great sacrifices great things so often required. When his people escaped the planet he had been raised on, a barren husk compared to his people's birth world, so the elders said, Table had remembered the names of all those they had left behind. But Table was a bad hope root, for he did not know their stories, only names, empty without their reasons. A hope root remembers. A hope root is always calm in the face of danger. A hope root uplifts. A hope root is kind. A hope root is patient. A hope root's work is the work of their people. A hope root's joy is the joy of their people. A hope root rebuilds. A hope root teaches. A hope root grows another before they are severed from the tree. Table was not certain how much he could do about that last one. When they had found a home again, Table had begun rebuilding in earnest and teaching the young ones the sciences their people had all but lost, art with Near Star, and words, though he was terrible with words. Thankfully, the brightest of the young ones, Weld, had begun helping him. Table loved the little ones. They were so much braver, more curious than the others. Braver than he. Table had even found a hope seed to replace him. But where were the little ones? Table couldn't remember. What happened to the little ones? What were their names? A hope root remembers, Table didn't remember. Couldn't remember. Table was a bad hope root. Table felt that something was wrong, terribly wrong, but he couldn't remember what. Couldn't remember to try to remember. Where was he? Table thought he might retch, but then he stood instead. Oh yes, Table was following. That seemed right. Table followed. Perhaps there was work for Table to do. A hope root's work is the work of their people. Were these his people? They must be. After all, Table was following them. Table looked up to see a sign with an arrow. Hadn't he been following someone? Perhaps it had always been a sign. Table was good with signs. The symbols didn't jumble the way words always had. Only, everything felt jumbled now. Life was like a word that Table couldn't read. Table felt jumbled too. What did Table mean again? He felt his name had meant something once. He could hear himself saying his name. No, he could hear his friend saying his name. Did Table have a friend? Yes, the small one, the one he could hear in a voice that was his own and not his own. A voice that left the taste of a fruit he could not remember in his mouth whenever he heard it. The voice was screaming now. It was afraid, or angry, or both. But Table didn't seem to be able to feel much of anything. That was okay. His head hurt. His eyes hurt. His arm hurt. His shoulder ached where the strap of his rifle was rubbing into his skin. All of that was okay. He would walk it off. The sign pointed that way. The sign led Table to a wall. No, not a wall. A room. The walls were clear in places, but Table could see nothing inside the room. Only a door on each side. And what are those? Vents were appearing. The way these walls shaped and reshaped themselves reminded Table of the metal scourge that had chased his people out of home after home. For just a moment, Table felt a flash of hot, white hate. Hate for the enemy, and hate for these walls. Table fantasized about swinging his mighty club and destroying the giant machines that had slaughtered his people. The door opened, and somewhere deep in the jumbled pieces of what were once Table's mind, another door opened. Behind this door, there was a memory. The memory was sharp, cold to the touch. He remembered. He knew what this room was. This room protected the sick, the little ones. He had built this room with wealth. But how did it get here? No, this was a different room. Different but the same. This room protected some, but killed others. Killed Table's friend. Yes, Table could not see it before, but he knew what his friend was. Where was he? Oh, a door. Wait. Table threw his club through the open door, across the room, and against the other door. Nothing happened. Table remembered what would happen when he stepped inside. A hope root remembers. It hurt to think. Table knew he had only moments before his mind would jumble again. With a lurch, Table stretched his burned arm into the room, gripped the plasma rifle in his good hand, aimed, and pulled the trigger twice. The door closed, and Table began repeating 3 prepared words to himself, hoping his small friend would catch on. As he felt himself slipping away, Table pushed down a deep well of terror. A hope root is calm in the face of danger. He wiped hot fluid from his face and felt his last feeling, shame. He knew that he would never be a good Hope Root. And he was very, very sorry. Where was he? Why did his arm hurt? He watched as the room in front of him made strange sounds for several minutes before a door on the other side opened. He heard 3 words. Shoot the door. Shoot the door. Shoot the door. He shut the door. He shut the door until he could walk through it. He passed a piece of meat on the floor. On the other side of the door, a pathway led to a room filled with friends, his people. Perhaps they would need his help. He had a strong back. Or perhaps he would teach little ones. He loved the little ones. His items were taken away by a friend. His body was stripped by a friend, but he was handed new clothes. Then he was told what to do. He didn't understand, but his friend helped him stand where he belonged. As he handed his new friend their clothes, he heard a voice screaming a single word in his head, over and over. Table! 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 What was table? He didn't know. And that was okay.